Hear that? Is that knocking?
No. Knock, knock. Who's there?
So my brother sent me a TikTok of a guy talking about the short horror trilogy of short horror films called Doors, part 1, 2, and 3. So the first one's about 5 minutes, the second one's maybe like 12 minutes, and the third one's like 15 minutes. These can be found on YouTube. And what made me curious about them and why we watch them is because it's something I'm kind of obsessed with. We made a short horror called The Doorway on TikTok, which we had a lot of fun making, and actually feels like inspiration for this. I don't think they saw our video or ripped us off or anything at all, for sure. This is not an original idea, right? We
Definitely
just watched
not.
Hostile Dimensions.
Yes, that's what this reminded me of to a degree as well.
Just like in premise.
Yes.
But this is analog horror.
Yeah.
And I was writing a book on a doorway appearing in the middle of Times Square. Something about doorways,
well,
for me is fascinating. Like I love this, like, passage to another place.
Yes, yeah. I mean, they're very symbolic, and they're a threshold into another, as you said, another space, whether it's another room in the house or somewhere beyond. And I think they're really powerful symbols, for like our psyches as well.
Well, the reason I know why I'm obsessed with them is because when I was a kid, we had a room in our house that was off limits to us, like the whole house. So like, and when I say that, I mean me, my mom, everybody was off limits to them, because when we rented the house, they were like, do you want the bonus room? You will pay this much extra a month. If not, we're going to keep it as storage in your house. And so it was right across from my room. And every time I would go into my room, or when I would come out of my room, it would be staring right at me. Yeah. And I had no idea what was behind that door. And we lived in that house for years, not knowing what was behind that door. We did break in there, though, just to find out.
Oh, so you did know.
We did. And then eventually we rented the room, and they came and took all their shit out. And we put all our stuff in there, and then it became a room of ours in the house. But for years before we ever went in there, I always wondered what the hell's behind that door. Like, is there someone living in my house? Sure. And it really like got me like in my head about it. So anyway, doors. Let's talk about this. So analog horror. This is presented in like found footage, VHS tapes. And essentially it tells you that we are adding, so it's kind of meta in the sense that it's like, we have now added a door to your house. Do not go look for it. If you go look for it, you will start to not recognize your house, and you may become lost. Yeah. That kind of stuff. And then we follow a character eventually that goes missing, and then we deal with a sister and such and so on. Good lore. Kind of reminds me of the Backrooms a little bit. Something like that. It has
Backrooms vibes, and more than anything, even though I haven't finished this book, House of Leaves, I think anybody that's familiar with that will also see, like, of everything, that's probably, I would imagine, the biggest influence on this. And yeah, it kind of like, so it starts off with like, it's like the video that then leads to somebody getting lost. Essentially,
we'll talk spoilers. So if you guys haven't checked them out, it's a quick watch. You can watch them really cool. Quick, and then jump on right back over here. So go ahead. You can talk about anything you want.
Yeah. So I was just meaning like as far as like the formatting goes. But yeah, I think that this is a really cool analog horror. I have talked about on the channel that I'm a big fan of analog horror. I definitely haven't like watched all of the ones that are out there because there's so many. But something that I think is unique with this is that we get like an actual person like talking and looking at the camera and moving around, whereas a lot of analog horror, at least that I'm familiar with, is more like still photographs, like a video, but like with photographs or text on the screen, like, telling the lore and like showing the story through photos, essentially, which is fine. Like, I think that's a cool format for sure. But I find that this is like even better. It's like the next step. And I think it obviously makes a ton of sense to style it as like a found footage, you know, somebody filming, because it does add to that analog kind of grittiness of it. And yeah, like the girl, it's obviously, you know, super low budget. And I think that this is an example of how you can accomplish so much with like a cool story, like a good hook, and just like creativity and like you know, good atmosphere.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, as I said, I think it's extremely reminiscent of the TikTok that we made. I'll put that link in the description below if for some reason you guys have not seen the TikTok.
We have it on YouTube, I'm pretty sure, as well. So
yeah, we made quite a few short horror films on YouTube back in the day. We stopped doing it for some weird reason because we were really enjoying it. And that was one of the best ones that we did for sure. And I feel like this is pretty similar to that, except for ours doesn't have any dialogue or any like lore put on the screen. That one is just purely imagery. As to where with this one, yeah, they have this really cool lore of like adding doors to your house, and if you walk around your house, you're not going to recognize it, and you know, you will hear a knock on your door tonight, and that kind of stuff. Very, very suggestive, and you know, gets in your head, and it starts to make you question your surroundings.
Yes.
Which I think that's always a really great way to approach these things, because they are so low budget and they are so personal. I think that it is easy for this to kind of be like almost like not like an earworm or like a whatever you would call that.
Yeah, well, like it does get you kind of paranoid and makes you uncomfortable and uneasy. Yeah, I think that's a great like mechanism to use with analog horror, and that's like what it's kind of known for, is that it makes you sort of start to, you know, it's sort of ARG, right? Like you are believing in the reality that is set there, like in front of you in the video, and that it's the same reality that you exist in some way, right?
I mean, I know for sure that if in that moment when they said you'll hear a knock at your door, if we had a knock at the door, Kaylee would have fucking leapt over the balcony of our house.
I would have dived head first into the earth, into the ground.
I really wish I had watched this beforehand and like coordinated with the girls and like text them like, okay, knock in 5 seconds.
Oh my God, I would have probably pooped my pants. Yeah, I mean, this type of stuff like scares me. I think this kind of like hits all the things that I get really freaked out about. I've also always been like really fascinated with doors, and there's a lot of like urban legends, like finding the door, like either finding like a doorway in the woods or stairs in the woods or whatever, like finding something in like
Channel
like,
Zero,
you know,
Butcher's Block.
Yeah, finding something that you like shouldn't see in a place where it shouldn't be is always like terrifying. So like finding another door in your house that you know doesn't exist there is just like the most horrifying concept. But then there's also that level of like curiosity too, which is where like House of Leaves like has you know, that realm, because the curiosity kind of gets the best of the family in that book.
Well, Channel Zero, Dream Door.
And yeah, same thing. And Channel Zero. But yeah, this involves like, so the sisters, it's about two sisters, and they're twins. So it does have this kind of doppelganger type of vibe to it, because one sister goes missing and the other one starts to look for her, and we get to see her, and like when we see her, she's got this horribly creepy smile, like her face is all distorted.
Truth or Dare.
That stuff scares me though. Like I don't like it. I think it's really scary and freaky. And then there's some great stuff with like another person that's like, I think one of my favorite like just moments in this is when she gets a knock at the door in the middle of the night, and she walks out there and like turns the light on, and there's a guy out there that's speaking in reverse. It's like the Twin Peaks, they film him speaking the words reverse and then play it forward, so it sounds super weird. And he like he just, everything that he says is really creepy and eerie, and his eyes are like kind of glowing, and then he's like, turn the light off, and she turns it off and he just disappears like right away. That's terrifying.
He also comes back in the third one.
Yes. He does come back, yeah.
And disappears once again. And then she gets trapped by her sister after finding her. And I really liked the third one's definitely the best, and I think that they really did kind of leave things off really good with the third one, and I felt like it was a pretty well-rounded story. So I don't think, I mean, would I watch another one? Sure. I it's been 9 months, so I don't know if they're planning another one, but her running through the woods past the doors looped before she finally like goes in, and
great.
one of them's like jiggling the handle, and then, which I think that if you watch these again, I want to say the person who was jiggling the handle, that's the same as what's happening on the other side of the door with her sister. I think because she's seeing someone doing that where they're jiggling the handle at the same time, like in a different area. So I feel like that's her in the other place.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, maybe.
I'd have to look at it again and rewatch them again. It wouldn't take very long. But I really like when she's running through the woods past the doors, looping, and when she's like puts the camera down and keeps like circling the room as she's walking out the door. That was really clever. And the brick walls behind the doors, and then the other door appears behind her, and she like in Beetlejuice, draw a door.
Right. Yeah, no, it's
3
great.
times.
It definitely reminded me a lot of Hostile Dimension, but like in a much more serious and creepy way, which I really liked Hostile Dimension, and that's definitely, it's another found footage film that involves doors. It's like a full-length film, though.
How many backroom like videos are there? Have I watched all of them?
No, I don't think you have, because I don't think I've seen all of them. He's come out with even more.
Because he's making one right now.
Yes,
like
he's making a film.
With A24.
Right. Well, I was going to say, I feel like the people that made this, I would watch a full film of it. I feel like you could make it expanded and like do some cool stuff with it.
It'd be funny if Hostile Dimensions is the same people.
It would be funny.
I'd be like, oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, but I love that. I love all the stuff in this third segment, like you said, like with the forest and everything and the things being looped and all of that. And there's also like a really cool shot of her like looking at the television and seeing her sister's like whatever doppelganger behind her, and it's not behind her, but then when she looks back a few times and now it's behind the television, and just creepy, really creepy. Very low budget creepy, but that's kind of some of the best stuff because it feels so weirdly realistic and just like, you don't have a lot of practical effects or, special effects or anything. So you're just like, oh, I don't know. It gets to me.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like you're seeing lost footage that no one else is seeing, right? I mean, there's this like intimacy to the video because it's not wide released, and it feels like this underground thing that you found. I think that adds to the charm and the scariness of it. It's like, am I watching something real?
I think this is cursed, especially when it, the ending is like there's going to be a door in your house. Like
you will hear a knock tonight. We'll let you guys know.
Yeah, maybe we
hear
will.
A knock tonight in the house.
Maybe I'll have a dream. That'll freak me out if I have a dream about it.
I don't think. Are you going to answer the door if you hear a knock tonight?
Absolutely not.
What if it was me and I was in the room too?
You were knocking at the door?
Like you could see me. You could see me through the window knocking at the door.
Jump off the balcony
behind you, and I was in there as well.
Which one of you is smiling?
Both.
Jumping off the balcony. I'm taking the third option.
So yeah, definitely. Obviously, I hope you already watched these because we told you to go do that, and you listened to us, right?
If not,
you're in charge of your life.
If not, go watch them. Definitely check them out. And
what is this?
We have
what is this? Is this a tumor that you have attached to you?
I got a little skunk under here.
What's
this? A little dog.
What's this? Is this what's at the door?
Yeah.
Is this what's at the door knocking?
I would answer for him.
What if you saw 2 of him?
I'd answer him.
You'd be okay with 2
I'd be okay with. See, yeah, I'm not as threatened by animals.
But it's like mouth is all distorted.
I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I wouldn't answer.
What you got to say? Yeah, I don't think so. He's too scared.
I know.
That's a good review right there. He's like,
he's freaked out.
Yeah. He's like, 2 of me? Where I wouldn't have as much food.
His one concern.
Yeah. All right. Well, let us know if you watch them. We'll link to these below in the description, as well as our short that they ripped off.
No.
Just kidding. Bye.
Bye.